The idea of coming back to Africa began last year when we went around the world by low-cost carrier. Remember? 10 airlines, 9 countries, 8 days. In low cost. At the time, I was roundly criticised for not coming through Africa. Some of the tweets I received. So Quest managed to fly around the world on low cost, but was never in Africa. Make a stop in Africa. Well, the reason we didn't come to Africa was that there are no low-cost carriers that would have got us into and out of the continent without torturing the schedule. The lack of low cost does not mean Africa isn't an important market. According to IATA, Africa will be one of the fastest growing aviation regions over the next 20 years. And as the most populous African country, Nigeria should be poised to dominate aviation on the continent. It is not. While a privately run domestic terminal with many new features can handle 4 million passengers a year, only a handful of domestic carriers are in operation, most with less than a dozen planes. 40-odd airlines have failed in this country, including Nigeria Airlines in 2003, Virgin Nigeria, which was backed by Sir Richard Branson, and ARIC, which was almost the national flag carrier.
And I can tell you why. One is lack of corporate governance.
Alan Oyema launched Airpeace in 2013. His airline flies to 10 destinations. He has plans to grow the airline, but that's easier said than done.
We are victims of poor airport infrastructure in this country. Out of over about 30 airports in Nigeria, only 4 of them have airfield lightings for night operations. The aircraft is supposed to be there for 18 hours flying, but we are flying for less than 10 hours and you close shop.
Most of the major legacy carriers fly to and from Nigeria. Flying within Nigeria or Pan-Africa, now that is the problem. Lagos to Djibouti seems easy enough. Not so fast. Your best bet is actually an overnight, either in Nairobi or Addis Ababa, and then onwards. The biggest anomaly of all, flying in low cost. At a time when the rest of the world is seeing low cost expanding in Africa and Nigeria, it's barely taken off.
If you take your average ticket, every average ticket in the country is less than $100. That's already low cost by default, even if you didn't want to be low cost.
The inability for any airline to have started a pan-African low-cost carrier is quite striking, isn't it? Because even if it's difficult to get from one side of Nigeria to the other by air, at least you could start to join up all the capital cities.
That's a function of trade. In Africa, we're still learning to trade with each other. And if you're not trading with yourselves, then basically having point-to-point cities in Africa, it's a good thing to have, but then how sustainable is it?
In Lagos, the private jet business fills much of the vacuum left by commercial aviation, says EAN's Aviation's chief executive, Segun Demiore.
There are more private planes in Nigeria, more private business jets than commercial airlines, aircraft. And I think that's just the result of difficulty in trying to move around the country.
Nigeria's aviation woes are deep-seated and need to be solved if the country is to reach its full economic potential as a powerhouse.
Take the West African region. We need that area to be pretty much open skies. And this is why I think Nigeria can be a leader.
Tarnishing that vision, the issues of corruption. The government has a whistleblower task force in place aimed at rooting it out. How do you tell somebody, I ain't doing that, and not lose the business?
You can say no and still keep your business. Absolutely. It's not business as usual again in Nigeria. And the anti-corruption war, it's not so much about recovering money, but it's about inculcating a culture in people that must do things rightly.
The minister has given me the policy. Now, how to put it into practice on a daily basis. I want to talk to you about something, the perception. And the perception is that no deal gets done unless there is a bribe that passes by. Now,
can I respond to that?
Of course.
Absolutely not true. I'm not saying that those things don't happen, but I have been living here for 25 years and working here for 25 years, and I cannot remember once having to pay a bribe.
Is it offensive to even talk about these issues in Nigeria these days?
I think it can be considered offensive because the average Nigerian is very hardworking. I mean, you see them all everywhere, sort of, just trying to earn their daily living. I want to stand by that.
Work that also means keeping Nigeria's art and culture alive. At the Nikkei Gallery, Nigerian art is at its finest. And stereotypical or not, a rousing African welcome.
You are welcome!
Thank you. Oh my word. A welcome indeed.
So this is Agbada.
A what?
Agbada. This is what Nigeria will wear before they become a king.
Come and let us tour. 4 extraordinary floors, 25,000 pieces. It's breathtaking. Oh, that is beautiful. The founder, Nike Davies Okundaye, is an artist too.
I make this work to pay a tribute to all the people who have been helping us to broadcast the Chibok girls.
So what, you've done this in...
Beads, small, tiny beads.
Now, you didn't put each bead in individually.
I put each bead with needle.
You're not serious?
Yes, this is the needle for the smaller one.
How the heck do you get something as small as this through? Hang on.
Go ahead.
I've got one.
Yes.
I would last about 20 minutes before I would say, oh, for goodness sake. For goodness sake, it's fiddling. Culture is a serious business in Nigeria, as you'll see, cooking up a fight across the region.